Order of operations is a topic that causes a lot of grief if people aren't very clear about it. In different countries and different schools, there are often different acronyms to help people remember order of operations. BEDMAS is one common acronym, and the letters stand for brackets or parentheses, exponents, division, multiplication, addition, and subtraction. And in truth, addition and subtraction are really grouped. Division and multiplication are really grouped. So over here on the right we have an example pretty familiar to anybody who's filled out a contest entry form. Fill out this skill testing question. Classic order of operations problem. So we have 10 plus 5 times 3. The multiplication has to be done before the addition. So we have to do the 5 times 3 and write this as 10 plus 15. And then 10 plus 15 we can rewrite as 25. If instead we did the addition first, we'd have 10 plus 5, which would be 15, times 3, which would be 45, and that would be incorrect. One thing that's often left out, though, is you have to perform operations from left to right when they are of equal precedence. So here below we have an example which I've written out twice that only involves addition and subtraction, which normally we wouldn't think of one taking preference or precedence over the other. But you have to perform these operations from left to right. It's tempting in this problem to add the 18 and the 22 first, because it's a pretty simple addition, whereas subtracting 18 from 54 is going to trip up a lot more people if you're not using a calculator. So if you did the 18 plus 22 first and replace that with 40, you'd have 54 minus 40. And 54 minus 40 is pretty easy, it gives you 14. But in fact, that's wrong. You have to go from left to right. You have to do 54 minus 18 first, which is 36, and then add 22. And 36 plus 22 is 58, which is clearly pretty different from 14. What you've essentially done in the first example is you've grouped the 18 and the 22 in brackets. So if you had 54 minus 18 plus 22 with brackets around the 18 plus 22, then of course you would have to evaluate the 18 plus 22 first. Brackets is the first thing on our list of order of operations. And so that would be 54 minus 40, which is 14. But this one here is wrong. Can't do it that way. Let's take a look at a couple more examples. On the left here we have 3 times 2 to the 5th. The dot is an alternative way of writing multiplication. It's pretty common, especially when you get into algebra, or sometimes you don't write a symbol at all, as we see in the next example where we just have 5 and then the bracket 2x to the power of 3. Again, that's multiplication. It's implied. The 5 is multiplying the 2x to the power of 3. So what do we do in this first case? Well, again, exponents comes before multiplication. So we have to do the 2 to the power of 5 first. Now, 2 to the power of 5 is 32. It's 5 2's multiplied together. 2, 4, 8, 16, 32. So this is 3 times 32, which is 96. And let's take a look at the next one. We have brackets and exponents. So there's nothing to evaluate within the brackets. We have to do the exponent first, and the exponent only acts on whatever's immediately to the left of it. But if that's a bracket, then it acts on everything inside the brackets. So 2x to the power of 3 really means 2x repeated 3 times and all multiplied. So when you multiply all of those things together, the 2 times 2 times 2 becomes 8. The x times x times x becomes x cubed. So what we end up having here is 5 times 8x cubed 5 times 8 can be simplified. That becomes 40x cubed. And if you're not sure about exponents, we're going to review those in much more detail in subsequent lessons.